had one of those rings briefly, with a number 9 on it, as I recall. Super bad. This all looks kind of corny now, doesn't it? Super stud. Oh, my bum is clenching with embarrassment. This is the bit I really like. This is the core of the idea, the spine of the idea. That circular motion which holds the thing together for me still. I think what I always try and do is try and come up with an idea that looks like the track sounds, and which is where this circular camera movement came from. I was trying to catch the momentum of the track. Everybody seems to know instinctively how to work this very unusual camera. Everyone's really using it, particularly Bono, of course. Now, was that a real Bono or not? I can't remember. Don't think that was. This works, I think, this very fast. The use of the text. And we also had a band of lookalikes in the window, which crop up. Each member of the band crop up very, very sporadically throughout the video, and you've got to be quick to catch them. And looking back, it might be a little bit literal now, but I think it worked at the time. That was a false Bono, pretty sure about that. Somebody's crutch, that's definitely Adam's crutch. Casts a shadow over the entire piece. Oh yeah. We're getting adventurous zooming in there. The masks coming off the face, I remember now, was very tricky. I think that was the area that everybody had a problem with when we showed the rough cut in Barcelona. But we had to adjust and change considerably.
Is it art or is it pornography?
At the time all this looked incredibly exciting, but now, where are we, 2002? We've been there so often, not just with the zoo explosion, but with so many other bands and so many other forms of media that it does start to look a little corny, doesn't it? It was a bit safe looking in comparison to what was later explored on the U2 tour, but it was very early days for that whole media blitz approach. So, you know, I wasn't totally into it. I was experimenting as well. The device, it worked rather like a clock. If you can imagine a single-handed clock with a bar sticking out at 90 degrees to the hand with a camera attached to it looking down. Quite primitive, and it was actually hand-driven. There was a big, strong bastard turning it like an old mangle. And we're going, faster, faster, you bastard. No, but it worked extremely well on film. I was very pleased with it, and it caught that feeling of momentum. They've probably been responsible for my best work. Probably because they push me more than anybody else does. They have an instinct for when something works and when it doesn't, and they don't always know what to do instead, but they certainly know when it doesn't work. So you've got to keep trying to please them, and boy, you want to please them, because, you know, they're a great band. Watch more television. And we did.
So, I mean, for me, I had like a U2 calling to do a music video, and this was like one of my best, probably my best request ever. Like, I was that little young, and suddenly I'm going to Dublin to meet U2, and they were so sweet. I arrived there, and then there was a 4 at the table, and I was on the other side, and I don't know, it was great. And the next thing is that we all met in Fez, in Morocco. And here I was, the first day in Fez with the band. It was frightening, it was so scary, because I had to do a video and I had 2 days. And I had barely no experience shooting. And it was so scary because they were just following me everywhere in Fez. And I will walk in the streets like if I knew what I was going to do, and I will turn, they were following me behind, and it was not just like 4 people following me, it was like 40 people, 30 people following me through the Medina with all the equipment, and I had no idea what to do and what to shoot. And I will walk, and then I will, oh yeah, okay, so go here. They didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I was not used to them, and nothing will happen, of course, because I didn't explain anything. And I would just grab the camera and okay, I will turn around them and film them and sweating, thinking, this is shit, this is a drama. It's like, oh, my God, what am I gonna do? It's like, it looked like photos, you know, there's no reason to do a video. I could do a photo shoot. And I went to bed that first day, I was like, probably went through all my notes, and then I was like, the mirror, tomorrow I start with the mirror. The origin is probably André Cartes that did that series of nude photographed through a distorted mirror. And I asked just for Bono to be on the set in the morning, because that not having the 4, because that I was completely frozen. So Bono arrived alone, and I used the mirror, and then right away it worked. Right away, suddenly, it was Fez, and yes, it was Bono, but then it was something else, and it had movement. And even if he was standing or just moving a little bit, you know, the mirror was bringing all the movement, was removing the stillness out of the shot, and it was magic. And then Bono saw it, looked at it, and he was like, "Yeah, that is great." And I was like, "Oh." Completely relieved. But in post-production, the band came to Paris, and here they were doing the whole post-production, coming every day, watching the video, staying for hours, and I could see on their face that they didn't recognize themselves, you know. And at the end, anyway, I keep telling them there's no element, you know, there's no materials to turn this video into a more dynamic video. It's going to be poetic, it's going to be abstract, and it's going to be emotional and surrealist, but it won't be like right in your face and performance. And at the end, I think they just decided to go for that, but I don't think they were happy with the result. I was working like if I was going to do an exhibition of each frame of the video. So at that time, when I will finish a video, there will be maybe 5 frames I didn't like in the whole video, but I had to have because of for editing reasons. But I loved it. With Mysterious Way, I'm super happy.
They were calling me way before the album was even finished, and they fly me to Dublin to listen to the music, and they haven't even, at that point, they haven't even decided which were going to be the first single from the album. So the process was very early, and it kept going for a while. I met them on different places around the world way before we even started to write treatments for the video, before we decided which direction to go. The idea of having them perform on a tarmac with airplanes around them kept coming back to us as a very visual and very memorable moment to have a band do that. We had a lot of ideas and a lot of stuff that we wanted to shoot, but we realized it was very hard to plan a shoot in detail as we're used to in an airport. With a lot of red tape and a lot of security, and especially when we were shooting a few weeks after the Concorde crashed, so everything was kind of a mess. And not only that, it came out on radio the day before we shot that we were going to shoot, so we were surrounded by fans everywhere, so it was kind of like a chaos when we shot it. So my plan of what we wanted to shoot kind of flew out the window, and we improvised. We did have a problem because the indoor performance in the video was supposed to be daylight. It was supposed to be bright sky outside those windows, but everything was so delayed and we didn't get in there till later. So that part of the video we shot in the middle of the night. when you do this kind of video, it's in a weird way. It's like combat. You need to shoot a lot of stuff. I knew going into this that I needed a lot of material, so I was totally focused on shoot as much as possible. I wouldn't say I was nervous, but we did know that, and we were prepared for a lot of surprises because of the red tape. So we had to improvise and we had to go with it. But again, in a miracle way, we shot everything we wanted to shoot. We did do a lot of different cuts on the video. I don't know, we just ended up with the version we have, and it did take a long time, and we didn't deliver on time. I guess that's part of the success they have, is to question and really make sure that everything they do into the details are as good as it possibly could be, and that's what we did. It was just purely professional, working through all the material, making sure that we had the best cut possible. In this part of the video, I wanted something to kind of like just, you know, be a contrast to the concrete, and I just came up with the rugs. I was walking in Paris and saw one of those in a window shop, so that's where I got the idea. And I have seen a lot of bands actually ripping that off. That became something. So when we were shooting this, we were trying to get as close as possible to the actual airplanes. I don't know, we were really close, and all the planes on the side were for real, but the ones that going over them is 3D animated. That became the wow effect, and that became the memorable part of the video. Anybody who see this video will remember that, and every time we talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, the video with the airplanes. So I guess it's one of those moments in videos that people will remember. I look back at the video and still like it for sure, but to me, to work with U2 and get to know U2, and it's been an experience for sure, and a learning experience for sure. And I am very proud of the video.
For this video, I think it was, I think Bono played me the song Round Edge's wedding. Then they sent me a copy 2 weeks later and say, you know, would you like to make a treatment? And I always think, you know, you're one of 4 or 5 people making treatment, so I never take it that serious. You know, I've given Bono many ideas over the years for different videos. I think one of the reasons Bono wanted me to make this video is the look I had with the early Depeche Mode videos, grainy black and white Super 8. I've done this actually on 16, but in a very grainy way, so it feels like almost like Super 8 when you watch it. It's very beautiful, the grain, it's moving, and it feels very alive, the film. Samantha, I didn't think we were gonna get her because it was very short notice, all these things. But she was available and very, very willing to try this, which is quite a thing for an actress, I think, to do a music video. She was absolutely amazing. You know, came up with a suggestion. I think she's very intense, I thought, but that gave the performances something that I think most music videos would lack. And as a director, I was really happy to have her in front of the camera. You know, she was better than any expectations I actually had. The story is of passion and of loss, and the train in a sense is the story, and things go past, memories go past in the train. So Bono is just the storyteller. I think he really felt the song should be set in the south of France, preferably on the beach. You know, I had some ideas that involved him more, and then the idea came up to involve Larry a lot more. Well, I had to say initially I had some misgivings about this, because I've never really had seen him acting, and I think he's usually quite happy to be a bit in the background. I wasn't initially convinced, but he indicated to me that he really would be giving it more than 100%, and he really did, I have to say. He really cared a lot about it. And maybe that was a really nice thing, that it was for him a kind of first, and therefore he gave it all his attention and energy. and I think he did fantastic. It turned out to be a really great idea. The deer is something that I wanted in there. It was the sort of innocence idea and sexuality, and also where we put it now is a sort of foreboding, because after that it gets quite dark. It's something I just felt was a really nice thing to put in there as well, purely visually. And the performance way it's shot, actually I shot all myself, and Vaden, who was the DP, fantastic cameraman and DP, did the lights to help us getting this effect. Was all shot with a very long lens to make the band feel more closer to each other and more claustrophobic, and the look sort of, you know, old Velvet Underground look, but punky at the same time. The fireworks, I think I thought about when I was with Bono. I think I said I really like to have fireworks, and Bono thought exactly the same, or the other way around, but it was definitely in my mind to have fireworks at the end when the band was playing. I didn't think of having Samantha in the bath with fireworks, I thought more with the band playing, but in the end I changed it. The shot where it explodes around her head, that was unforeseen, but just amazing. And you know, and every time you look at Samantha, there's something in her that is so full on and so subtle at the same time, and an amazing quality that she brought to the video. I was really, I think, quite happy with how it all unfolds. All in all, I think I'm going to be very happy with this. I do really like German words, so I was really happy to get that word Ruhe in there. And the other thing, of course, I was very happy with was to get Bob Hewson in the video. What you see in the beginning of the video is a lot of circles. They stand in a circle, and you see the circle of the lamp. There's quite a few references for me in the word one. One was the Father, Son and Holy Ghost are one, which we have with Bono's father in there. You know, man and woman are one. So I've played with that a little bit by each of them as at some point a woman and a man, and the little cars you see, there's the female car, Larry gets in as a man, and there's the male car where Adam gets in and dressed as a woman. And of course it was all filmed in Berlin. The wall had just come down, and it was pretty amazing that city had become one, so that was a more, reference to the particular time. I'm very into handheld these days, and this video is 10 years ago, and Dolly for me was something new and exciting. There was an initial version where there was a lot more of the band being dressed up. The first cut went to many people to get their opinion, and then it was found too heavy, and I went back to the end result after another week of editing, I think, and then they turned it down. I have to say that was a very, very difficult moment for me, because I don't think I've ever put more emotion and thought and feeling into a video as this video, and to have it turned down was a really difficult thing. And I remember even asking Brian Eno to look at it and say, surely they should go with this to go with that song. I in a sense have never been able to put as much emotion into a video anymore, because I had such a difficulty with accepting that this was not going to be released. 1955 is the year I was born, and it has the number 1 on that, on the wall. For people who are not familiar with that, but the years and the numbers are the amount of people that were killed at the wall during the years. Well, Bob was great to work with. It was
in the winter that we shot this, I think February, it was pretty cold to just stand there, you know. And I remember asking him if he was okay, and he said, I got my central heating. And of course, not being Irish, I totally misunderstood. He showed me his bottle of whiskey that he had in his pocket, so he kept warm okay. The cars were painted by myself. They each took a whole day to paint, and it was very hard work. The shot from the little car from far above, where you can really see it, you know, the figure painted on the car. I actually adore that shot. I think the end of the video suffers a bit because of lack of footage, because I had to take so much other footage out. That's my only regret here. I personally feel it's possibly the best video I did for U2. I've done not that many, so it's maybe easy to say, but it has a certain strength in the simplicity. I think that's really powerful. What I've done here with the thing, but I started with the band playing and I end with the band playing, and the song is in between, so you get the story of the song in between the playing. And therefore I used images that maybe are a little bit predictable towards the end, and it feels a little filled up to me. You know, I think the strength of the images is really on the first 4/5 of the song. I think it's really strong images in the last 1/5. I personally felt could have been slightly stronger if I had access to all the footage. I know now the band really love, and especially Bono has said so, and it might even be, I think, his favorite video. You know, and looking back, it's great, and it feels like very sweet to me that they have looked at it in retrospect in a different light.
I'd actually forgotten that we'd put this piece in, Princess Diana arriving and being greeted by Luciano. It kind of set the scene, I suppose, for the whole beginning of this television footage that we used to try and pull ourselves one step away. We didn't use the TV pictures raw. We affected them. We were given a bunch of stuff. We had a bunch of stuff. This came in last, and initially was going to be the backbone of the piece, but it's kind of just very television-y and not hugely entertaining, and doesn't really carry a huge amount of the emotion of the song. And the song is a very emotional piece. The other elements that we gathered up were footage like this, which came from Bill Carter's footage, the footage Bill used to make the documentary Miss Sarajevo. You kind of get confused talking about the various Miss Sarajevos, but as I recall, the notion of the beauty contest in the middle of a war inspired the song. Meeting Bill and the work Bill had done inspired the documentary, and then the fact that Passengers had one song that was to be released as a single and this was it inspired the video. So we had a brief to capture the emotion without being too tricksy, which is kind of easy because we didn't have a lot to work with. So we simplified it as much as we could, and we kind of made it, I suppose, if we made it about anything, we made it about a search, because I think that's what the song's about. It was weird in that we actually didn't shoot anything for this. We made it from bits and pieces. And this particular piece, the footage of the actual beauty contest itself, is truly, this is the hook. Everything reverts back to this, because this is just the weirdest notion. A beauty contest in the middle of a war. And then we decided to simplify it even more by stripping the colour out of it. The only thing we allowed be coloured in the end was the television footage, the mod and the concert itself, and even with that we kind of played with the colour a bit. But for everything else, we just tried to bring it back to some kind of earth tone, I guess. Browns and blues and reds and greens. We actually simplified that again. I mean, I think in the end there's probably only browns and blues left, and then just green guitar. It was a weird session. It was Brian McHugh, the editor, and myself in a room for many nights in a row, playing and replaying and replaying. And the band were in between tours, obviously. This is a Passenger song as opposed to a U2 song, so They weren't at, ramming speed tour mode. They were in quiet, contemplative, in between tour modes, writing records mode. So it's a different headspace for them to be looking at shots themselves performing. Particularly performing in front of a big orchestra, and with Mr. Eno playing what looks like a pocket calculator. I tell a lie, we actually did shoot some stuff, some Super 8 stuff, but then elected not to use it. Got in the way. And then the Maestro Pavarotti. I mean, this is just a moment where it still makes the hair in the back of my neck stand up just to listen to this song. And I have to say, whenever I hear it, I see those shots. I see these shots here. I see the "Don't Let Them Kill Us." I see the "Don't Let Us Die." I see the girls in the tunnel. I see the guy running for the ruined bus. They really are hugely evocative. Amazingly about this, the reason this guy's running is, as Bill Carter told me more than once, if you walked you got shot. I mean, that was in Sniper Alley. So to get from point A to point B, you either didn't or you ran and hoped for the best. Intricate then with some of the destruction. We came to a moment then where you kind of had to remind people that though this was a weird situation, that there was something very odd about this whole setup, that this was a city that was basically being eaten up, ringed by its enemies, being shot at and bombed and shelled, and so a moment in time had to come where we moved all the way away from the very dreamy blue beauty pageant, the kind of romantic running man, and just reminded people that this is about real life. And we chose to, obviously at the end, again you couldn't do it through the middle, it'd just be horrible, but at the end, this is a song inspired by a moment of beauty in a sea of madness, so we needed some shots. That burning building is the library, which obviously didn't survive, but she did, and in fact went back to Sarajevo with the band when they play their concert. Actually, I think it's really nice. I think it captured the mood.
This is the video I shot in 1993 for the picture Far Away So Close, with a magnificent song that U2 wrote for us, Stay, Far Away So Close. This was our lead actor, Otto Sander, as Bono with my nephew Michael, and Edge, and this is how we started the music finally. The main idea we took from Wings of Desire and used the band as angels, so to speak. Invisible, Edge, Larry, Adam and Bono, shot in black and white. Stay was not the first video I shot with them. Actually we met years ago when we did Night and Day. We knew each other pretty well, and I knew how professional they were and how utterly generous, and I mean they're just great characters. I could just continue shooting with them for weeks. Our leading actress for the video is Merit Becker. She's a great singer herself and has made a number of records. And we liked the idea that Bono's voice would be sung by a girl in this video. Bono had to be her guardian angel. Larry had to take care of the drummer, and Adam was more the bass player's angel. think it's still one of my favorite U2 songs ever, and the band loves this song too. I know whenever Bono sings it in concert, he mentions that he's happy through the movie he got to write the song, and that he still thinks it's one of the band's best songs. Here you see Bono's working space high above Berlin. Tell you the truth, he wasn't really standing way up there. We had a model of the angel figure. I guess you were suspecting that anyway. I think Larry gives him a little correction on the beat here. Well, making a video is really a very different ball game. You have the script, so to speak, because you have the song. And everything you do is in order to help the song shine. You just want to serve that song, and you want to make that song look as good as possible and sound as good as possible and as interesting as possible. Edge had to help a little bit with the tuning too. What do you want to do if you're guardian angel to a lead guitarist? It was windy up there. This scene is from the picture itself, Potsdamer Platz. Oh boy, Bono had to jump down 70 meters. No, centimeters. On Potsdamer Platz at the time, you just saw it for a split second, there were still Russian jet planes. MiGs standing around. Potsdamer Platz, of course, now is the center of the city, and at the time was still in shambles and no man's land. London, Belfast and Berlin, my favorite line. I couldn't help singing it aloud each time when we were shooting it. Some of these shots are actually from Wings of Desire. Larry had to jump down 70 meters as well. These shots, also the wing itself is from Wings of Desire. All these accelerated shots were from Wings, also this helicopter shoot. I love the interplay between Bono and Merritt. It's very hard for Merritt to pretend to be singing all alone, and Bono really teased her and really got close and sort of tried to distract her, but she just continued singing as if he wasn't there. Altogether we had luxurious 3 days to make this video. Never before I had so much time. Nastasia in all her beauty. There you see the MiG that was still standing there. But of course we didn't throw Bono down from any height. He was actually really just standing and letting himself fall. I was slightly horrified when I saw Bono smash himself to the ground, but he didn't hurt himself. He had some protection on the arms and on the hips and the legs, and you see it also a little bit if you really watch it. This is the last shoot. After a full night's shoot, Bono was still able to run early in the morning when an angel hit the ground.
Okay, so the two football coaches are actually my high school teachers. One is named, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot. That's Robert Dennison, and the other is my physics teacher, Daniel Kutzko. I think John Madden did it because his kids liked U2. I had written some lines for John to say about football, and I think it was something like, you know, that was a really bad kick, that was a really easy kick. And he goes, kid, there are no easy kicks, just short kicks. Part of the video was shot in Houston, and the other part was shot in Germany where U2 was touring. So this is actually two different places throughout the entire video. Wait, hold on. That's digital. That's Germany. That's Houston. We actually shot this part right here in Germany with just like 100 people, and it wasn't even a stadium, it was like a gym. Just, we just dressed it. We had to make sure that, all the props and things like that were brought back and forth and things like that. And so it was really funny to have Germans sort of interpret American football too, which I thought was really kind of cool. The biggest thing that I added onto this video was was all the U2 references. I don't think they were really quite expecting that. I just went in there, using flies and lemons and, using the number 1 and Paul Houston. I think there's like about 13, 14 different U2 references in there. And I just recently figured out Bono's real name. And it was on 60 Minutes that I saw. So I just thought, here's a way to sort of make a very sort of abstractly U2 video that almost has nothing to do with U2, which is like American football, things like that. And I thought, well, if I layer that with actual truthful U2 things, you could have this weird sort of Andy Warhol moment. It's like really hard to try to convey sort of an American vibe in Germany. Some of it looked pretty good. I mean, if you look back there's a couple guys with big German mustaches and things like that, which could be some guy in Chicago, which I thought was funny. Oh, there's Larry making an expression for the first time in 20 years. Oh, and Larry was really into being a hooligan, He didn't really quite get the American thing, but I said, look, think of the soccer hooligans that rip up stadiums, and he totally got it and was really into it. All the football players back there are in a league. They're in a firemen's league. Those are cops and firemen from Houston, Texas. They play amateur football, and they just pummeled each other for 15 hours, which they were really into. He's in a dress there. Very few people actually spot that. That's going to be my Snoopy moment, my Charlie Brown. And there it is, Charlie Brown. That's digital. It's digital people in the background coming into Bono standing. I said Bono be more messianic, and bam, there he is. I had a few ideas of who Paul Houston should be. My actual first pick was the kid from American Pie, the one that actually got the pie stuck on him. But he was not available. So I went through a bunch of different people, and then I just ended up with Brendan Fair, who's from Roswell, who I just thought had kind of good looks, but a very comedic sort of timing to his face, which I think was very necessary for a role like this. I like shots like that, where it's just really simple and graphic, and it's the Edge sitting down or laying down in the middle of the stadium. I think it's just really funny. When you have such a humongous band like this, it's really interesting to put them in very human situations, because it's like you almost can't think of them as real people. So if you have someone laying down, I think it's just an interesting thing. Human beings lay down, U2 doesn't, Should we try it again?
love that. I love the intro and the outro. I was so happy because I thought it was a perfect introduction to the new album, as it was the first video. Mirror Ball coming up, bringing all the concept of what was going to be their tour. And then, boom, they are in. That's where I wish I shot more, is inside the Mirror Ball. Paul gave us a budget of Paul gave us such a low budget, and we were like, wake up, Paul, this was like 4 years ago. But those budgets are not like after the Europa and Zoo TV tour around the world, it was like, if we wanted to do something like so ambitious, it was like, so we found the trick of doing a 24-hour shoot. The idea was to start at 8 in the morning and to finish at 8 in the morning. And only this could happen in Europe. No, in America, forget about trying to do something like that. So that's the way we did it. And that's all because I had so many different elements to do. But we had to reduce a few of the idea, which for me was, I wanted to do it like a spectacle, like a show. There was one shot that I was meant to do on discotheque, and that I had done as a photographer, was to film Bono's mouse singing the song inside a tube, a metal tube, so that the whole mouse will reflect inside the tube, and that would have been perfect for this video. We never had the time to shoot that element, and it's such a shame because I think it will have transformed entirely the entire video. I'm not completely happy with discotheque because it should have been sharper and more aggressive. That's my fault, maybe I didn't prepare it enough, and I think it's just the fact that we had like 1 day to shoot. Oh, and the dancer, the go-go dancer, was perfect. I think I put Larry laying down with a go-go dancer. I forgot if it's Larry or not. I know that I felt like I should use somebody that didn't add much yet in the video, so that they will be very happy, that they will be very grateful that I did the go-go dancer scene with them. Maybe it doesn't show, but I think I put Larry lying down with a go-go dancer to balance with the frustration of doing the village people scene. I think, yes, he is there. He is there in the go-go dancer in the red part. Just I say, okay, I'm doing the go-go dancer with you, but you'll do the village people. That's him. I knew I did that to get him a bit more excited and all right, okay, I'm doing the video. I'm happy to be here. When I was giving them the movement, I had a choreographer next to me, and Larry was like, whatever, it's like, and it was completely all wrong all the time. And suddenly after 5 minutes, I was like, yeah, but that's it. It's even better like that. Bono is perfect, doing the movement perfectly, and Edge is kind of like, yes, following because he's super pro, so he's going to follow. And then Adam is like in another world, so he's like following but doing his own version. And then Larry is like, no way, I don't give a shit. I'm going to show people that I don't want to do it, and it will show in the film, and I wanted to show in the film that I am not participating, I am not approving this. Oh my god. Edge is so cool. Oh yeah, the way Edge is dressed, oh, it's perfect. But don't you think that the 4 of them, it reflects so much their personality? Oh, okay, maybe not Edge, but yes, with a mustache, it's just perfect the way they dress in the village people section. Larry as a cowboy, Edge as a S&M, and Adam as a navy. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, well, that's it.
initially I was to do the video, that is, and then I couldn't, and you could, and then you couldn't, and I could again, and then we both kind of did it together, which was great.
What was that thing about Edge recording?
He felt that Jim Carrey didn't enunciate to the back row, so he said, "Who's afraid of the big black bat?" So Edge sat behind a microphone and went, "T."
Oh.
And we married the two,
Yeah.
as one does, and it says now "Big Black Bat."
And you'd done some interesting things for the screens.
We realised, having gotten the animators, God bless them,
Yeah.
to animate this huge set on this huge roof with all these screens, that we needed to put something in them, and we didn't have the time to animate anything into them. So we dived back into the Zoo TV tapes and plundered. We had the other element we had, obviously, is the old movie, but that was still in post-production, so they were sending us copies every second day basis of more stuff that was finished, but they wouldn't show us the finished stuff. So if you recall, we kept getting videos with a great big black box in the middle, so if it did fall into the wrong hands, it couldn't end up on the streets in Taiwan, which was very interesting because we had no real idea what we were using.
Okay, so
Oh dear. That was
Girders
the
by
artwork, Girders by Kev, on the 1115 from Staplehurst to Charing Cross. I seem to remember there was a difficulty getting from one shot to another, where we were sort of panning down from a
Yes.
shot above ground to below ground.
Yes.
And I did a bit of artwork on the tray. He's very good in this, actually, Jim Carrey. It's all explosions, isn't it? And special effects. It's just not theatre, is it? Adam, with a ciggy hanging out of his mouth. Is that allowed?
an animated cigarette.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, that's great. I like that shot.
The crowd from Sydney squished and stretched and multiplied several times. It actually is.
I know, I remember that.
I think all of the members of the band, except Larry, are kind of recognisable. And I don't know why that happened, it just did.
It's a little bland, isn't it, for Larry? Tommy Lee Jones. Thinking back on it, alter egos aside, Mephisto ranks alongside the Riddler and the Penguin as a perfect Batman character, doesn't he?
Absolutely. And it was also good that he finally met his comeuppance, because otherwise he'd have been hanging around forever.
Ah, that looks familiar.
The brotherly
I
man.
nicked it, yes. Oh, that's good. There we go. Shash galore.
And the Mephisto character was great.
Yeah.
Is it about the wrong kind of man?
The embodiment of all evil. That's a nice little moment, isn't it?
Schumacher's movie looks great, doesn't it? And this sequence, I really like this sequence. This whole paparazzi thing works really well.
Bono the Saint becomes New Man.
Smash.
I wonder if they had as much fun making the film as we did making the video. It's actually rather good looking after this long, isn't it?
And into the car. I actually never noticed the hand on the side of the car before. Would you believe that?
Yeah, it's a nice bit of design, isn't it? This is Mr. Swanpiece.
This is the American version. It was initially called Mr. Pussies, but having finished the video, and it was delivered immediately, I think it was Man on Concord, MTV said you can't even read pussy on American television, so we had to find a new name. So we picked Mr. Swampy in memory of your recently departed dog.
The amount of cigarettes hanging from mouths, it's quite extraordinary.
Question marks and alter egos. It's a splendid thing.
That I like
That dance sequence is very good.
the Shadow Orchestra.
They're great there. That's a godly moment if ever I saw one.
Which one? The stripping loop.
He strips to Batman to
Yeah.
Mephisto to Batman to Mephisto.
There's 1,000 bats in the city.
We leave this island paradise.
Very nice.
Look at that.
I think the first idea really was this spark of light and darkness. It was like a spark becoming I guess, a sun was the balls of the idea. And then I had to do it. The main thing I remember about this shoot was it was incredibly stressful. I seem to remember they were quite nervous about the video anyway. I think there was an uncertainty about which way they wanted to go during that period in terms of the image for the tour. And what I'd made as a video was a fairly moody piece, and I think that was ultimately against what they wanted. This was a tough one because I think Bono had had a late night the night before, and he was hiding the bags under his eyes. He goes, "Gee, what are we going to do about the bags?" I was like, "I don't know, go to bed earlier." All these effects are actually in-camera effects, but all this stuff, all this light and all this refraction and all these elements are real elements that we then combined with the shots of the band. That stuff, these little flashes, that stuff like around the edges, hand there. That was one guy in the guy that did that, this guy called Donald, we put him in a black room for it's like a Japanese torture for 2 days, and he just, with this wand with this bulb on the end of it. So it was basically doing time lapse of this wand of light. Some of that's in there as well. As far as I know, this was the first time, see all these vertical streaking, as far as I know, this was the first time that anyone had shot something like this with an open shutter, which means that there's literally no shutter in the gate of the camera, which creates this vertical streaking of the light. I mean, to be honest, we didn't really know what we were doing. We just had a bunch of light effects in mind and tried everything. So we kind of winged it a little bit. It was a bit scary. Oh, that's all. Yeah, it's little grains of iron filings. So this is water. All this was done with, that's fire. This sun, the actual sun, the eclipse sun, is done with we bent it, we turned it into a circle, but actually it's a straight line, and it was a mist, an atomizer mist, that we backlit. And so it created this sort of strange, distant solar surface. There was not much to show them on this. It wasn't like they were walking onto a soundstage in Hollywood and seeing this huge set. They were walking into what was essentially a blacked out studio. And the video wasn't cheap, you know what I mean? So they're standing there going, well, where do we spend the money, guys? I actually thought I was making something quite glorious, sort of Gloria in Excelsis of music videos. Certainly the end result was quite a dark thing. I followed the mood at the time, and it all seemed to go that way, and I enjoyed it. But no, I wasn't aware it was going to be dark at all. But to me, it wasn't dark. I remember getting in the post-production phase, kind of running out of time, and at this point in the video, it was kind of like, what do I do now? And then I had the band breathing down my neck, and I was like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I'd sort of blown the video, really, and I was concerned, very concerned at the time. I remember thinking, fuck, I've blown it with these guys, and I really like them, and I was very concerned that they were walking away dissatisfied, which is why it's nice to be here today, because maybe that's not true and I was wrong. That falling material there that looks like sparks was actually done with water that we shot looking straight up at the roof of the ceiling of the soundstage, and the water was dropped with a light behind it towards us, and we shot at a very high frame rate, which was a trick I nicked off my dad. He used at the end of Alien. For all you fledgling filmmakers, it's my idea really, but my dad always took credit for it. I'm still quite proud of that video. Well, no, I'm very proud of that video.
A tap dripping? I don't remember that. That's obviously a water torture vibe. It's got to be landing on Edge's head. Let's see. I don't know about you, I love one-shot videos where there's a lot going on. How the hell he managed to get through this, I'll never know. He looks great as well. I mean, working with U2, as you know, is a unique experience, and none more so than this particular one. They don't follow the rules. It's not a matter of submitting a treatment and shooting it in many cases. It's a matter of sitting around bullshitting, trying things on paper, talking about stuff, throwing stuff out. And you may be doing that till you're actually on the studio floor or actually on location, and in this case that's exactly what happened. We were flown out to Berlin, as I recall, and all that we had at that stage was a notebook with a list in it, and we went to dinner with the band, and between courses we sort of went through the list and said, why don't we try some feet in the face there, or strangling the face with a rope, or a bunch of roses. No, let's forget that, let's try this. In other words, we had a bunch of ammunition and a cast standing by to try all sorts of things. The only thing that we really knew at that stage that was going to be a locked off shot that was the point of view of the TV. You can imagine all the people waiting off screen to actually come in and do their little bits with ropes, and there's something very radio about this. It reminds me of Don't Ask Me Why, War of the Worlds, Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, with people standing by with clapperboards and tins and things to do their special effects. Edge was incredible. I don't think he laughed in any take at all, with all this mayhem happening around him and to him. Quite an achievement. There we go, into black. There was no idea for it at all, so we took the rather daring decision of actually having nothing on screen at all. I know there's a little bit of worry about that from various sources, but actually it's a magic moment. Finally, on MTV, for about 5 or 6 seconds, there's nothing happening. Just a flickering light. That doesn't really qualify as action, does it? And I was rather pleased about that. He's very good actually there, isn't he? And there is Adam. Okay, and they go off to do some kind of a covert deal in the background. I remember standing in the background with a huge notepad with almost like reading. That's probably what reminds me of War of the Worlds, where Orson Welles was yelling out instructions or pointing at. Now who's that? That's got to be Morley on the left, isn't it? I mean, I may be wrong, but I think that's probably where he fell in love with Morley. The feet in the face, what can I say? I do hope they bathed. That is very silly. I remember they did a skit on this, didn't they? Somebody did a comedy version of this that was shown on some TV show in the States. I feel a big hairy hand coming in. And I think Morley will be shaking a tail feather in, as they say. That's a moment to treasure. A fan. Another fan. And I think the DP, yes, Steve Chivers, stepped away from his camera, took a photograph, and I think Paul McGuinness is Edge, there's somebody I want you to meet.
Yeah, we spent a whole day in London with Bono, running around, directing traffic, asking people for money, giving people money. We were on a roof with a very, very long lens, so it seemed like we were real close, but we were real far away. We found like the oldest TV store in Camberwell, which is southeast London. The store was a good-looking store to shoot outside of, and we found about 45 of the oldest TVs possible and made the Fly-style video wall. I became aware that U2 had seen a show called Buzz that I worked on with a director called Mark Pellington. It was a global pop culture show, really fast, really cut up, and I knew the band liked it. They got in touch with me, and we kind of picked each other's brains about what we thought. They told me about the concept that they had for Zoot TV. We talked about slogans, and I was available, and Richie Smith was around, and he had shot the live thing. I shot some other stuff, and they put us together, and we were essentially working on 2 different videos at the same time. It's a plastic jacket. Looks good, huh? Bono looks fucking great. You know, and as far as the live performance goes, I mean, this was like really the first time that U2 was shot really close and really just hot like this, and my hats off to Richie Smith, man. A lot of color correction, a lot of just amazing, passionate stuff. I think they were all working out too. I mean, what I loved about the band was they were totally game, and Zoot TV seemed like their vehicle. It was really hard because it was putting 2 things together that were totally different. You know, I had this this vision of, you know, Bono kind of watching himself, watching the band. Yeah, it was a lot of brain damage, actually. You know. But it was good brain damage because the video, watching it today, you know, after all the feelings have worn off and the hard feelings, it's a damn good video. By the way, that's my nose, and that's my cameo appearance in The Fly. The real great conceptual videos came after that, but The Fly, I think, was a great introduction to the album, and it was kind of a palatable introduction because I think a straight live video, straight performance video wouldn't have done it, and I think some kind of, you know, weird conceptual thing like I had in mind wouldn't have done it. But putting the 2 young guys together, letting them fight it out, and putting something together that had the best of both was real successful. Never saw Edge as completely wild as in this video, in this solo. Bono had like the Native American remote control, sitting there flipping it. This was part, I think, of the Zoot TV thing in general, because the images, the graphics, and the TVs, you know. The Fly as a video was the first taste of it, and a really interesting first taste. Ambition, Bites and Nails of Success, that was on the boards too. Also the first time the Zoot TV logo was ever seen. So originally a lot more shots of Bono climbing the wall like a fly. Maybe the one was enough. Everything you know is wrong. That's the theme of Zoot TV. And you know, U2 once again totally got that, and that was repeated all over the world. And you know, and I'm proud that was in The Fly as well. This song reminds you what great players they are. Larry looks amazing. Amazing drums. They had been U2 Mach 1 for a while, and they wanted to change. It was a new decade. I think that they were already into 21st century at that point, and so was I. I was ready for that too, and I think the world was ready for that. And I think when Octane Baby came out, they blew a lot of minds, including their own. Just a great rock band. I'm just really proud to have been involved with that.